You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
Welcome into the Toronto Sports Rush here on the Bet Rivers Network, and it is my pleasure to welcome in my former teammate, my former colleague, my former partner from the NHL Network, who has gone on now to be the queen of all media.
Oh, God.
Howard Stern is the king of all media, but this woman, Jackie Redmond, is the queen of all media. You know her from the NHL on TNT, and also you probably know her from her constant work on WWE all over the globe. Anywhere there's wrestling on this planet, she could appear. She could appear. Jackie, thanks so much for taking the time to chat a little bit. We got the hockey season right around the corner. Before I ask you about the Leafs, though, I wanted to ask you this question because before we started this, we were talking about fandom. I'm a Yankees fan. It's painful to watch these games when you don't, as a fan.
Yeah.
For you with the Leafs, you've been a Leafs fan. You're a diehard Leafs fan. For the audience that doesn't know, her whole family, Leafs fans, her sister, we'll get into that because her sister is one of my favorite Leafs fans of all time.
The Marcinator.
The Marcinator, yeah. And a tough player in her own right in her day. But that's another story. But who do you hate to lose to more than any? As a Leafs fan, is it Boston? Is it someone else? Who do you just can't stand to lose to?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because I think in the last 15 years, I think Boston is probably the answer just because we've had such devastating losses to them. Yeah. So it's ever since 2013, I hate, you hate losing to Boston. But when I was a kid, I remember just the Leafs-Habs rivalry being a really big one in my house. I grew up in London, Ontario, for people watching. And so for us, there was a lot of Red Wings fans because London is right in the middle between Toronto and Detroit. So I used to hate the Red Wings too. And they were so good back then, right? They were playoffs every year, Stanley Cup, go away. Love Stevie Y though. Had a crush on Stevie Y, I'm not going to lie. But all that to be said, right now, I would say it's probably got to be Boston. Although with some of the series that we've seen with Florida, I think there's Leafs fans that they don't like to lose to Florida either. But it's got to be it's Boston. It's Boston right now.
Right now, right? It could be. Yes. It could become Ottawa, maybe. Could become Ottawa.
Listen, bring back the Battle of Ontario, baby. Yes. Let's go. Yeah. We owned that. That's the one thing that I could say as a Leafs fan. I had confidence going in. I was like, this is the one. I can really have faith. We're coming out on top. Sorry, Alfie and the boys, but hit the bikes. Season's over.
You did it last year too. You maintained that. You maintained the faith.
It's the one thing we have.
Hey, that's a good thing to have because they're close. They're nearby. They can annoy you. So anyway, let's get to the Leafs. And I'm gonna just lay it out there. You just tell I'm gonna just say the name and you just go with it.
Okay.
Mitch Marner.
Who? See ya! No. Listen, I'm happy for Mitch Marner. I do, as much as I criticize Mitch Marner over the years, I do think that maybe his fatal flaw was that in the beginning he cared so much being a homegrown kid that I think it hindered him in a lot of ways when it came to the postseason. And then once that was his reputation, despite putting up almost 100 points year after year after year, it's he just couldn't shake that reputation that he just couldn't perform in the playoffs. And then, he's a human being. So over time, you're going to get defensive. His reaction to the media and what that relationship became with the fans and the media for Mitch, while it could be annoying and frustrating and I criticized him for it, I understand how it got there. I do. I really understand that for him. And I think that he's going to flourish in Vegas. I wish him nothing but the best. He's a nice guy. But I think it was time for them to part ways. And, hopefully it's the best thing for both parties. It's the best thing for the Leafs and it's the best thing for Mitch Marner. But, it is, Marner and Matthews breaking up, that split. Rumor has it that's the biggest split in sports since you and I since we no longer do a show together.
Yeah.
We're the one and the same, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's very close. It's very, very close. I mean, It's right there. Let me give you another name that's departed from the scene. Brendan Shanahan.
Shanny. I gotta be careful. The Shanna plan, that was the Shanna plan did not go well for Shanny.
It went well for a while, but it just never got past a certain stage.
I also think, and I don't know the reasons why this happened. I'm sure there's a multitude of reasons that you and I could sit here and come up with and debate. But I also think that Shanna plan kind of strayed from his plan at some point along the way. There was no ability to pivot. There was no ability to adapt to what was happening in the present. And I think anyone that's ever made a long-term plan in their life knows that it never goes exactly according to plan. You ever build a house? Lots of things happening, lots of pivots, a lot of having to adapt to different things that you don't see coming. And so I think that maybe that was I actually believe that Brendan Shanahan and his front office's biggest mistake was their inability to pivot. They just would not move away from this core four despite failure after failure after failure. So to me, like, people can talk about Mitch Marner and, even Dubas and whoever. But at the end of the day, like, it's Shanny's team. It was his Shanna plan. He was at the top of the mountain, and, heavy is the head that wears the crown, as they say. And unfortunately, he couldn't pivot off of something that he really believed in. And he's probably the biggest person to blame in the failure of it all, I think, at least in that portion of it.
Yeah, I would, we had this conversation.
Sorry, Shanny.
So many times we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, it was the desire to go so heavy with forwards and not try to help on the defense. So that was one issue, right? Signing Tavares at the time when maybe you could have used that money for defense and help build that area, or goaltending. That was one issue. And then the unwillingness the decision to put Kyle Dubas in place and not just keep Lamoriello there or Mark Hunter
there.
That
one people don't talk about enough either.
Yeah, right. And then, the unwillingness to move on from Sheldon Keefe after it appeared that, that wasn't working. So that's another thing that was a frustrating thing, I would imagine, as a fan to see that year after year.
Yeah, I think too, it's like, and you've heard me give this song and dance a million times about Keefe. It was like there was that pivotal offseason after they blew the 3-1 series lead to Montreal. Yeah. And that's not to take anything away from Montreal. They went on an awesome run that year, went all the way to the Cup final. But the Leafs blowing a 3-1 lead doesn't happen a lot for a reason. It's not supposed to happen. And so when that happened, their inability to make a big move, whether it was the coach or trading a core piece to try to build out other areas of their lineup, like, to me, that was the real, turning point of this entire thing. Like, that's where the real mistakes started to build, and they couldn't kind of work their way out of it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens now. Is it too little too late? I don't know. We don't know yet.
Yeah, that's right. Because as I said to you last year many times, and again, we worked together for all those years, I used to kind of chuckle at the Leafs. I didn't think that they had what it took to win. And in that case, I was right. But now I'm of the mind that they have figured out a better path with kind of a team that you just have to be rougher around the edges. You have to defend harder. You need a lot of different elements in the playoffs where you have to beat a team 4 out of 7, a single opponent. It's a different challenge to me. So I like where things have gone over the last, 12 months or so. You're not thrilled to lose a player like Marner and not get a ton in return, although they did get one of my favorites, Nicky Watt.
I was going to, so you were giving me names, and when you started doing the name thing, that was going to be my name to you, because I know you love him, and I actually think, so obviously with the Blue Jays on the run that they're on right now, going to the playoffs, in where I live, it's a lot about that right now. So this is like a weirdly quieter Leafs off season. There's the Marner is gone. How do we replace the point stock? But outside of that, this feels very this is like the quietest offseason I can remember in a very, very long time for Toronto. And I think that that's a good thing. But when people are talking about the Leafs, it is a lot about of how do we replace Marner's point production? What does that look like? A lot of talk about the goaltending, rightfully so. But I think that Nick Waugh is like a sneaky, really kind of perfect player to put into the mix for them and give them sort of a different look in their bottom six. And obviously someone that I think our head coach absolutely probably loves what he brings to the table.
Yeah, a big lanky guy that can be a fourth center, he can be a third center, he can move me in a second part, he could be a second unit power play guy for you, he can kill penalties, he can take faceoffs. He's just one of those, the Swiss Army knife player, and the good
in the corners.
Yeah,
Love it.
He's been part of winning a Stanley Cup, which is certainly a nice little piece of your resume as well. I was Jackie, I got to be honest, I was surprised they were able to get a player that can be that kind of a really helpful piece for someone that was leaving. I guess the bottom line was Marner and the Vegas Golden Knights wanted to do an 8-year deal, so they had to acquire his rights prior to becoming a free agent. But, that was a win for Treliving because I guess he was making the best of a bad situation. He could have left and they got nothing. So he got him. They got Dakota Joshua this year. They got Michelli from Arizona. Like, what do you make of the Leafs? You're right. It's been a quiet offseason. I think it's been a quiet offseason for a lot of the NHL, to be honest, as people are trying to navigate the future of a new CBA, higher cap, we have this class of guys that could be unrestricted free agents in the offseason. Where do you think this Leafs team is right now with these changes?
And maybe this is just my Leafs fandom coming out, so I'll preface this with that. I still think, especially with what's going on in Florida, that the Leafs can win this division. I fully believe they are a playoff team. I think they can win the division. They have the talent to do it. I know they got to replace Marner's production, but I think that they can find that throughout their lineup with some of the guys you just mentioned and some of the younger pieces that they already have there. Listen, Marner's an amazing, incredible player. He's going to be fantastic in Vegas. But I do believe that his departure from just like from like a social standpoint, it takes a little bit of the weight out of the room, right? It has always been about the core four, same four guys over and over and over and over. Matthews and Marner, Matthews and Marner, Matthews and Marner. And him out of there, I think there's going to be a little more room to breathe in that room. I think there's going to be opportunity for players, more touches for players that didn't get them before, players that feel like they have a little bit more runway with a big name like that sort of out of the mix. So I think that we're going to see maybe some players take another step forward. Like Matthew Nyes is somebody who obviously is already incredible, but I think even him, he's still so young. I think you could see him really take on more of a like a leadership role, some more ownership over what's going on with the team and what's happening. We've already seen that actually a little bit in preseason, the way that he's kind of talking about some of the new guys and their mentality. And he's talked about actually specifically the relationships off the ice and the team morale away from the rink and how crucial that is going to be to the Leafs' success this year. And I think that he's right. I think that they do need to have that sort of lighter feel. And with Marner gone, it's not because it's Marner's fault, but I think now that core four is split, I think that weight is lifted a little bit. Like, of course, there's still expectations. Of course, they still are expected to compete for the division and fight for a Stanley Cup. But because it's no longer the core four anymore, that is gone, that chapter is closed, I think a little bit of the pressure has gone away. A little bit. I don't know if you agree or not, but I think naturally it is.
Well, it's changed, right? And even the coach said, I don't want to ever say core four again, which I thought was odd. That, it was interesting that he would say that just because, there will be those who say, well, you got Nyes. He's the new member, right? I mean, it's just a thing. It's just a thing. I mean, you have to get it. But for the coach to say it, I thought was odd. But
I think it shows you, especially because the coach hasn't been there for the whole thing. I think it shows you how much it was the core four and everybody else. Yeah. Even maybe in that room. I don't know that. I'm just saying that if it was that way, and there would be a multitude of reasons why that culture would be created. It's not necessarily the player's fault, but like, you can't have that. You walk into the Florida Panthers dressing room, winning helps, but the year they lost, it was the same thing. Yeah. They are all one and the same. There is no hierarchy. There's no this and that, us and them. There's no division. Yeah. It's like that team is a team, and it sounds cliche. And I always hear from people online like, oh, what a shock. Like, they all get along. Like, as if let me tell you something. Not every team is like that, okay? I can tell you, okay? There's turmoil.
You're around a lot of these teams because in your role with TNT, like you're underneath, you see and hear things that a lot of us don't get to see.
Yes.
So when you say that, I give you a lot of credence there because, again, you have access to some of those things. And I know it from my own life talking to different guys over many years. It's rare. What the Florida Panthers have created in that room, to me, is incredibly rare. And that's why we kind of love team sports so much, is because when it does happen, we really love seeing it. It's the best of what we can be as people coming together for one goal. But we are all human beings, and there's a lot of, things that pull in different directions. So you have to work to create that. The Panthers have done a great job. I think a lot of that is, it's Barkov. A lot of it is Matthew Tkachuk, Paul Maurice. All those things came together, and winning, as we say, right, it certainly helps. But I think they have created something unique, and I think Craig Berube saw that in St. Louis with what he had there, and he's trying to create it here with Toronto. So, we will see how it goes. Let me ask you about their defense, because that is the one area when I look at their team, I think that's where they could use it. Like, obviously, everybody would love to have Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes or just somebody at the very top to set everybody in place. I don't know if the Leafs really have a player like that. I like that they have a grittier group than they've had before and they defend harder. But I would love to see if it would be possible for them to add even maybe a top 3 guy, because it's hard to get a top pair guy, but a top 3 guy that could kind of push people down a little bit. How do you feel about their D?
Well, overall, I feel okay about their D. I mean, it's a lot of returning guys, but for me, the most interesting part of their blue line going into this season is Morgan Rielly and sort of what kind of a year he has. I think we can all agree he had a pretty tough year last year. It wasn't an ideal season for him. He, for the first time, people love Morgan Rielly, okay? When the captaincy was up for grabs, like there was a very large section of people that thought, maybe Morgan Rielly should be the captain of this team. He's been here forever. He's a wonderful person. They love him in that room. I mean, he might be the most liked player on the team. So for him to have sort of, for the first time, sort of be at the center of a lot of criticism in the media, online, all of that stuff, that's like sort of somewhat new territory for him in the amount with which he was criticized. And with Marner gone, he's probably back running the power play, right? PP1 is going to be Morgan Rielly back there. So I kind of wasn't a huge fan of it when he ran the power play. I thought he was a little bit hesitant with some of his decision making back there, but it's an opportunity for him to sort of take the reins back and have a bounce back year and try to contribute in a more positive way this year. So I am very curious to see how Morgan Rielly's early season goes and his confidence level and because they need him, and he's not, like, to me, he's not a top pair D man anymore. You know what I mean? He's not that guy. So.
I agree. That's why I say if they could add somebody to kind of push people back a little bit, it would be, just a guy that would fit within their group. Because I like the group, but it is a little bit older, some of those guys. And, they don't have that real one. And I guess those guys are hard to get. I mean, that's just as simple as that. So, we'll see what.
But we've seen before what happens when a not top pair guy is put in a position where he has to play top pair minutes. Yeah. And especially, like, even if the regular season goes well, in the playoffs, that's when it really starts to kind of get exposed, when you're up against a team that does have that depth on the back end and does have their, as you say, their players properly slotted, right? That's that stuff matters once you're in a 7-game series. Now, we have the trade deadline, and that's way down the road, so things can change. But right now, is that blue line as good as the blue lines they're going to face in the playoffs if the playoffs started in a week? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Let me ask you about year one of the Auston Matthews captaincy of the Toronto Maple Leafs. What did you make of that?
It was such an interesting year for Auston Matthews, don't you think? I mean, he didn't have, he obviously was not 100% healthy. I don't know that we know that he's 100% healthy today. I don't know. I think once we see kind of how his shot looks in a regular season, real game, like that means something, I think we'll have that answer. But in terms of his leadership, it's so hard in Toronto. And I hate saying this because it's hard other places too.
Yeah.
I had a debate with a friend actually a couple months ago when the season was over, and, it was around Marner and just kind of like how hard it is to play in Toronto. And my friend's argument, and I think it's a valid one, he said, in other sports, like, you think it's easy to be a Yankee? Yep. You think it's easy to be a Red Sox when they're struggling in Boston? He goes, Toronto is not the only hard place to play. It's not the only place that criticizes their athletes.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, we need to get away from this rhetoric that it's like that Toronto's the only place where guys are like harassed. It's not true. Like, listen to sports talk radio. Eej, you're a Yankee fan. Like, listen to sports talk radio in New York for one day. Let me tell you something. They are not nice to them when they are not playing well.
No, listen.
So they do. Like,
nobody. The Mets are getting killed right now, and rightfully so. The Yankees, it's minute to minute. And that comes from a Yankee fan. Different, the Giants and the Jets have been punching bags for years here. So yeah, you're right. It's not the hardest. Yeah. It's not the only place where it's hard to play.
Yeah. There are other places in other sports and even in hockey where it can be very difficult as well. But I think for Auston Matthews, for me, I think he did a decent job. I mean, he's a young guy. It's his first time being captain in the NHL. He was dealing with his own stuff with the injury and not scoring as many goals as we're accustomed to seeing him score. Though, like, expecting 60 every year might be a little bit much for Leafs fans. Though I am hoping this year he can get back over, 50. Yeah. I would like to see Auston Matthews sort of take the next step with his leadership in terms of just kind of having a little bit more accountability. I'm sure that he does in the room, but I think when you're in a market like Toronto and you're facing the media every day and you're getting asked hard questions, some class goes a long way and some accountability for what's going on with the team. Like, Patrice Bergeron is somebody that we love, right? He handled everything with such grace and such class, even when things weren't necessarily going well. We've seen Auston Matthews in the preseason already say things like, are we done with the Marner questions yet? Like, let's get those. Like, he's like, he's joking and it's funny, but he's also like, there's something to that, right? Yeah. Like, you're already kind of just like, your back is up a little bit. And I would like to kind of see the Leafs get away from that sort of, it's us against the world mentality that they've sort of had, because they have a great fan base. They have a passionate fan base. Yeah. Their fans really give a crap about their success, despite the fact that they can be a tough market from a criticism standpoint. And I don't think that, and it's not just Matthews, but I don't think the Leafs core have done a great job of handling that to this point. And I think that that's an area where they can do a lot better in terms of softening that relationship. And I'm not talking about with the media necessarily, but just with the fans and the way that they sort of talk about the team and how hard I think we need to get away from that. And I think we need to go back to the positive side of embracing the fact that you live in one of the most passionate hockey cities in the entire world. And that's not negative. That's not a bad thing. It doesn't have to be. And I think that Matthews and Marner and a lot of other people in that organization, including some of the people that have been there in the past in the front office, have fed that, like, backs against the wall. We've done everything we can, all that stuff. They've sort of fed that, and I would like to see them get away from that. Because I think by the end of last season, it was very toxic. It really felt like certain people on the Leafs, not necessarily Matthews, but, certain times where it's like, wow, they like hate their fans. Yeah. Or like they really feel like their fans are against them. They're not. And I think that relationship needs to be mended.
Yeah. Embrace.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Embrace the challenge. Embrace the situation. That's how, we've seen it over the years. I mean, that Red Sox team in 2004, they were down 0-3. The fans, in Boston were expecting them to lose because they lost every year. And those guys came together. Yeah. They embraced it and they rallied and won that series and kind of changed the dynamic around that organization. And, now they've been a team that's won several world championships. I mean, that's how it works in life. Things can be cyclical and you just have to maybe just embrace it. Want to be the guys that get to that, get that Stanley Cup. I'm sure they are those people. They want to do it. 100%. Everybody wants to win, right? So embrace it. Maybe that's what you're saying.
A little bit more like, we need to be better. or we need to do this, or like we're excited for the challenge of getting better, instead of like it's really hard to play here. Or like, like that's it's like that dynamic that I'm talking about, which is a very intangible thing. But like, for example, and I've never told this like story on the air before, and I'm not going to name any names or do anything like that. But like when the Leafs beat the Senators, okay, they won the series this year in the playoffs. There was a player that, and the interview wasn't even with me, but all the media is together in case you guys don't know, like for these post-series victory interviews, right? And there was a big name player on the Leafs that was asked to go over and do a celebratory interview with a member of the media. And they rolled their eyes and they didn't want to do it. And I saw the exchange with this player and their PR person, basically complaining that they had to do this. It's like, you just won.
Yeah.
So what does that conversation look like when you lose a series? Like, I just think that to me, and listen, we all have our moments. We're all humans. Like, I have moments where I roll my eyes and I act in a way that is not what I consider myself to be. Right? We're all human. Yeah. So maybe that's just a one-off moment, and who knows what that player was dealing with. But I think, to me, I saw that and I was like, that's disappointing. Like, you just won. You should be fine.
This
you
is
just
a
won.
happy interview.
This reporter is going to ask you 2 questions, and it's going to be over in 90 seconds. And like, to me, that was just like, listen, the world is not against you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, a lot of the media is actually really rooting for you guys to do well.
Yeah.
So I just think that side of it can be better. And I think that takes the whole organization having a certain mentality about how they approach the way they speak about their fans and the way they interact with the media. That's just me.
All right.
I don't know.
As we close out, let me ask you a bigger picture question. We just had the contract for Kaprizov the other day. Crazy deal. $17 million per season, right? 8 times 17 dollar bill, as you like to, immediately
dollar bill Kirill, dollar bills.
He's a lot of dollar bills now, but like, where is this all going in your? I mean, I would imagine it's just going to keep going up. I mean, but what did you make of the contract, and how do you think that impacts McDavid, Eichel, and some of these other guys?
Well, I think that's like the first thing I said when someone told me, a guy I played pickleball with, I was like, so how much is McDavid getting? Like, if Kirill's getting 17, what is McDavid getting? I mean, I haven't thought about it too much, to be honest with you, but I think, if players are making that kind of money, it must mean that the league is in a decent place.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But in terms of McDavid, I don't know, is it about, like, I can't really bring up McDavid without wondering about his future and what's important to him. And I'm not sure that, adding a few more millions onto the millions that he already has is going to be a driving force for him. I think that he wants to win. And so I really believe that when push comes to shove, McDavid is going to do what he thinks puts him in the best spot to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's going to make millions on millions on millions on millions anyway. But I do wonder, like, what will his contract look like wherever that contract might be?
Yeah, it's curious because we think, like, there's been a lot of speculation that he might do a shorter term deal just because he wants to kind of give himself flexibility if things don't go well moving forward at Edmonton, which I completely agree with. I do think that's kind of the way he's looking at it. I could be way off base, but I agree with that speculation. But I do wonder, like, does he have to have 17.1 now because he is the best player? Or does he come in at less just because they do have Draisaitl and Bouchard and Nurse, other guys that make a lot of money, to create room to allow for additions that could help them win?
Yeah, I think when it all, sort of comes together and we have the answers and we see kind of where he ends up or what he ends up doing, I think it's going to tell us a lot, about kind of how he at least views what it takes to win and what he can provide for a team if he's making more or less or short-term deal, long-term deal. It's so hard with McDavid because if he does leave Edmonton, let's say, it's like there's still an immense amount of pressure. Now you're leaving the team that you've spent your whole career with. Yep. And if you go hop around and you still don't win, now it's like, oh my gosh, do I regret leaving Edmonton for the rest of my life? Yeah. It's such a hard position to be in. I can't fathom how some of these like best in the league players deal with these types of decisions. But I think that I am with you. I think a short-term deal might be the right play for Connor McDavid if he's staying in Edmonton to try to see if they can maybe build out their roster a little bit more because they've been close. So it's hard. It's like they've gone on a couple deep runs. He's been as close as you can get to winning a Stanley Cup actually and not winning. So I don't know what he's going to do. And I'm sure he's got a million people in his ear, his agent, his wife, his family, his parents, to be able to, I can't decide what I want to have for breakfast every morning, EJ. I don't know how Connor McDavid is going to decide what he's doing, but I do really, really hope that whatever decision he makes works out for him because I want to see him win. Connor McDavid needs to lift a Stanley Cup. I want to see it. And so I hope that, I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know what I would do. So, but we'll see, I guess.
All right. Listen, last thing before I let you go, because I've kept you longer than I said I would. So, but the last thing, a lot of our fans are also fans of the WWE and follow wrestling as it travels all over the globe now, along with you with it. So, who are the hockey people in wrestling? Who are I know a couple of them, but who are the hockey guys that you talk to during your travels that care about what's going on in the NHL?
So I actually have a fantasy hockey draft tonight that is all WWE people. And the person that invited me to that.
You better win that. You better win that.
Listen, first woman to ever be in the WWE Fantasy Hockey League.
Wow.
So I'm already feeling the pressure. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm like, this is big pressure. But Sami Zayn, who is Canadian, huge Montreal Canadiens fan. He is definitely in the top 3 biggest hockey fans at WWE. He loves his Habs. He's from Laval, and he is in this league as well. So he's already said, get ready for a year worth of trash talk, Redmond. And I'm like, all right, let's go, Sammy. So Sami Zayn is one. CM Punk, as hockey fans know already, because he has made it known. He is a huge Blackhawks fan. I think I always say this about him. People think he's a huge Hawks fan. He's a big hockey fan. He watches NHL Network. He, follows the storylines of all the teams. He's dug in, as we would say.
Dig in, baby.
He is invested in the league, not just his team. Otis is another one. Some people might not be familiar with him. He's a huge dude from Minnesota. He actually the last 2 years has been a season ticket holder for the Minnesota Wild. So he's somebody that absolutely loves hockey as well. I'm sure I'm missing a couple people because there are more, but those are probably the 3 guys that I personally talk the most hockey with.
All right.
Punk never lets me live it down when the Leafs are bad. It's almost like it's borderline harassment. I'm not going to lie. It's like he will not leave me alone about the Leafs. And then people are like, well, why don't you just tell them the Hawks suck? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Because they won 3 cups in 10 years. I haven't seen my team play in a final. So I can't really, that's not really a good chirp for me.
Yeah.
But
people forget that little detail.
Minor detail. Little detail.
But I like the description of Otis, a big dude from Minnesota.
He is a big dude. Listen, go Google him. He's the best. He's the best. But I actually I had messaged my sister. This is purely for you, EJ.
Okay, thank you.
Asking if she had any preseason thoughts because I feel like EJ will ask me.
Oh, yeah. This is the perfect way to finish. So, Marcy Redmond, you have the floor through you.
Okay, it's about 6 texts long, so hopefully this isn't too long. She said, and this is my sister, so nobody take this out of context. This is not Jackie Redmond, the NHL employee, saying
Marcy Redmond.
Marcy has said, I think the Leafs will win the division again without crybaby Marner. I like their pickups. I think Cowan is going to play a good chunk of games and will be a regular by playoffs. Treliving's been on fire. Who knew you could get players at a reasonable cap hit? LOL. And she said, I like where they're heading. Interested to see who sticks on the Matthews line. Then all caps, go Leafs, go baby. I feel like this team has the passion. The players we have want to be here and they bleed blue. Let's go. Say hi to EJ for me.
There you go. I love it. Marcy. Yes.
Oh, and she sent one more follow-up. You can share this prediction with EJ. McDavid will be a Leaf within the next 3 years. He either does it after this year or if he signs in Edmonton, it's 2 years to try to win with them and then he's coming home. He's got the passion. That's what she said.
All right, Marcy.
She's on fire.
Listen, if that happens, this clip will be good for life.
Oh my gosh. She'll do the old Don Cherry. We have the clip. Roll the clip.
Even you, Ron. Even you. All right, Jackie, we got through like 30 minutes here, longer than I promised. But, listen, there was no fly flying around. I didn't see your cat. I did see the staircase, which I like. So anyway, it's wonderful to see you. You're an amazing broadcaster, great person. I was so happy to be able to work with you for so many years, and we continue to be good friends. So all the best in your travels, and go Leafs go, Jackie.
Go Leafs go, baby. And you're the absolute best. I love you to pieces. And hopefully we can do this again.
All right. Hey,
good.
We're here for you at the Toronto Sports Rush right here on the Bet Rivers Network. Bye, Jackie.
Bye. Good luck with your Yankees. Or maybe not.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.